Hey Hofstra fans, welcome inside the WB Mason Coaches Report with Richard Nuttall. I'm Anthony Barrett, joined by Richard Nuttall, head coach of the Hofstra men's soccer team. Coach, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good. It's always nice after a decent win in the weekend, so I feel okay, thank you.
It was a good week for your team. We'll go back to earlier in the middle of the week. You took on Penn State at home. Penn State, a very talented team. You were able to draw them 1-1, and your team had been struggling prior to that, so this was really a good way to kind of snap out of things against a very talented team.
Yeah, as we've spoken before, I think we've been playing quite well for periods of games, and we haven't been putting it together, with the new personnel on the team and lots of changes. But we'd had some great periods in games before and gone to many overtimes, as you know. And I thought against Penn State it was another patchwork team with all the injuries. So I was very pleased that they kept at the game and they kept working hard, and Penn State's very athletic and very talented, and I thought in the end we deserved the tie and could have sneaked it in the end. They dominated the first half, so we changed a few things around at half time. I think we put better pressure on them second half, and we got the goal, and we could have had one or two others, but so could they, as they are a talented team. But overall, very, very pleased with the performance.
Now you take on James Madison this weekend. You beat them 3-0 at home. You end the season on a high note against the Dukes. It was a very impressive win.
Yeah, very impressive because James Madison are talented, they're athletic and powerful. And again, we've got players playing who hadn't played much all year, and I think they were just getting into the rhythm after having 3 or 4 or 5 games playing against some serious playing time. I was pleased. It was the first time we'd really been consistent the whole game, and we didn't really make any mistakes at the back that gave them chances. They did have a few chances, but overall I thought we thoroughly deserved to win. I thought we dominated and we kept the ball moving, and we had lots of good chances. So it was great to finish on such a high note, and it gives you a lot of confidence going into next year, I think, for the boys and for the coaching staff.
Maid Memic is able to get his first goal of the season this week. He's a guy who's started to come on as the seasons went along, and you've had injuries. He's gotten more and more playing time, and it paid off this week.
Maid Memic is a class player. I think you saw how he finished the goal. It was a beautiful chip to the far post. He's a natural goal scorer, and I think he struggled to cope with the pace and the athleticism of the game. But as each game's gone on, he's understood it a lot better, and he's performing better and better. And we said once he gets one, he's going to get a lot of goals, but unfortunately it's the last game of the season. But we expect great things from him next season. We're going to work on his athleticism and his power on the field, in the weight room and in the speed and agility areas. But we're expecting great things of him.
Now let's look at the season as a whole. You said earlier on one of these shows a couple of weeks ago that this was the second worst team you've had in terms of injuries, because it seemed like every single unit on the field was affected at some point. How big of a factor do you think that played?
Well, it's massive, yet you would hope that your depth of your squad would be able to compensate. And I think in terms of actual playing, they did compensate, but not in terms of consistency and concentration. What we felt in a lot of these close games that we've played in, that a lot of the times the opposition hasn't really broke us down, but it's been more our careless mistakes that's cost us the game, if you understand. So it's promising for the future, but we've got to get more consistent as we were against JMU, and I think it's given us a yardstick, but we've got to look at it was concerning. We gave so many goals away with our poor play, our lack of concentration, our lack of focus. So we've got to look at that for next year. We've also got to look at the injuries, but to be honest, I think it was just one of those years where a lot of the injuries were just in tackles or a little bit freakish, a broken foot from Tommy, a bad back from Tommy Cartensen when he was tying his shoelace, just things like that. So sometimes you get that. Hopefully we'll have better luck next year with the injuries, but I'm pleased that a lot of the players have got a lot of playing time, and I think we've got a sound base to move forward for next year.
Now, 2 of the seniors that you lose, Brett Carrington, who played a lot up front this year, and Greg Cumstone, who was the backup goalie this year. What do you lose in those 2 players?
Well, Greg Cumstone, we said before the game, could have played in Roberto's place any game this year and we wouldn't have missed a beat, but the fact was Roberto was the incumbent goalkeeper, and we felt, you know, for continuity that we wanted to keep him in goal. But if Roberto being injured, we wouldn't have missed a beat. With Brett, as most people know, he's probably one of the most up and down players. He can be magical, but then he can disappear in games. So we're going to miss him when he's good, but not when he's you know, inconsistent. But it was great for Brett. He scored, you know, what, with 10 minutes to go in his final game, and you could see he's much appreciated as a person. And we're going to miss Brett in many ways. We're going to miss Greg. We're also going to miss Gareth James, you know, who didn't get much playing time, but I've got to give him credit. When he did play the last 2 games, he did very well.
Now let's break this team down unit by unit. Obviously Roberto Pellegrini comes back, so he would be the starter next year. On the back line now, Sean Foster's back, Tyler Body is back. He really started to come on in the second half of the season, put together some good efforts. So what are you expecting? What did you think of the back line this year and looking into next year?
Well, the truth is inconsistent again, you know, mistakes. I mean, between the back 4, most games we gave up a goal that we shouldn't have done, or we gave up a chance that we shouldn't have done, and maybe 2 or 3 sometimes. So I'm looking for more consistency, but they've got a lot of experience. We get everybody back, you know. AJ was out a long time injured, and Tommy Becker's broke his foot, so he was out, and you know, Tommy Carlson had a back injury. So hopefully we can get them fit and healthy, and then out of that will come consistency and focus, and hopefully we can learn from this year as a springboard for next year with the back 4.
Now the midfield, you had a lot of injuries in here. Lucas Amon went down for the year very early on. Florian Pop suffered an injury. A lot of different personnel did. So what do you like from this unit?
Well, with Lucas Amon, we lost the best defensive in midfield, I thought, in the conference. He could stop the opposition star man playing, so we lost a lot there. And with Florian, we lost a lot of creativity. And you know, Ida was playing with a pulled groin a lot of the time. But again, they've got a lot of experience. We've got to look at our athleticism and our speed and agility off season, and we've got to understand that. We've got to improve. I thought the midfield was our weakest point, especially central. Outside, you know, Greaves and Aruma and 1 or 2 others provided decent consistency, but I think down the middle, the central midfield role is what we're looking to improve on. Idris did okay at times, Chris Grenzick did okay, and 1 or 2 others did okay. You know, we put Foster in there a couple of times, and he was good too. So we've just got to find the right balance for next year.
Up front, you lose Carrington, you bring back Maid Mehmet, you bring back Shady Soleil, guys who saw a decent amount of playing time this year. Yeah,
again, we in each area, we've got to bring in a recruit or 2. I'm looking for another forward, I'm looking for a central midfield, I'm looking for another defender, but we were only losing 3, and one Brett who played significant time. So we've got a solid base, but up front we need, I think, a little bit more pace and power. But as a complementary player, Maid Mehmet is going to be very good, I feel. So again, Shade is not there yet, but he's got to look at himself and work on his touch and his vision and his general control of the ball. But he's promising, so I think we're in a good position, but we've got to fortify that situation up front.
Final question, Coach. Now, you've missed the CAA tournament this year, so how do you make sure that your team uses this year as a learning experience, takes everything all in, and then you come back ready to contend for a CAA title next year?
Well, the first thing, you hope that your players, from a personal point of view, understand where they were and what mistakes they made and where they can improve. And then as a coaching staff, you can hopefully nurture them to a better position, both, you know, physically and mentally and experience-wise, and teach them the game. So that's a point that you've got to progress with. Now, we've got to do a good job recruiting as a staff. You know, we're working hard. We've got to bring in a little bit of, in each area, we've got to bring somebody who will help us, you know, another backup goalie if we lose Greg, also somebody at the back. We've got to bring good players in each areas as well to fortify the squad.
All right, Richard Nuttall, head coach of the Hofstra men's soccer team. Coach, thank you for the time all season long.
Yeah, thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Hofstra fans, for joining us inside the WB Mason Coaches Report with Richard Nuttall.